Okay, so we are now back for part 6 of the Dave Chappelle Netflix saga. And I think I'm going to call this Did He Bend the Knee? Now, here you have a picture of Dave Chappelle and the Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos, or Sarandos. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly or not, but this is the CEO of Netflix, who has basically been standing by on Dave Chappelle and defending the Closer Netflix special for since this whole thing pretty much kicked off. But the reason why I'm asking did he bend the knee is because this recent article just came out basically saying that he screwed up uh with all the Dave Chappelle backlash, but he still defends the special. So I'm trying to figure out what angle is he going with this here. Like, he's saying he screwed up defending this, but he's still defending Dave Chappelle. So I'm not understanding it. But I'm sure as I read through this article that's coming from the LA Times that was posted on October 20th, 2021, which is the date that I am recording this video, but it'll be up at a later date because remember, we're going in order. As a matter of fact, to give you a bit of context, I only have part 2 of the saga up and I'm recording part 6 right now. So that should give you I guess you can say a viewpoint of how my backlog is when it comes to these videos. But it will be up though. Some of you will probably already hear about this by the time this video gets up there or up on my channel. Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos admitted Tuesday to mishandling the fallout from Dave Chappelle's The Closer while maintaining that the special doesn't qualify as hate speech. Well, if that doesn't qualify as hate speech to you, then I would not have said anything at all, because now it looks like you're kind of backpedaling or you're buckling to a very farce and bogus system going on over there at Netflix, considering all the stuff we've talked about leading up to this point. In a new interview with Variety, Sarandos said he screwed up when responding eternally to employees' concerns about The Closer, which contains a significant amount of transphobic material. Where? So now you're trying to say that it does have transphobic material in the special. See, all this is going to do is make them get more power towards them. See, here's the thing. Him saying this could give them more power when they were weakening them. Why even say anything at all? That internal response, which argued that content on screen doesn't directly translate to real world harm, was recently leaked to the media and widely criticized online. Obviously, I screwed up that internal communication, Sarandos told Variety. I should have led with a lot more humanity. I had a group of employees who were definitely feeling pain and hurt from a decision we made, and I think that needs to be acknowledged up front before you get into the nuts and bolts of anything. I didn't do that. Sarandos' admission arrived on the eve of a highly publicized staff walkout organized by transgender Netflix employees protesting the streaming giant's move to release The Closer. A subsequent rally attended by staffers, activists, public figures, and other allies is set to commence at 10:30 a.m. today, which by the time this video goes up will have already passed, outside Netflix's Los Angeles office. Of course, storytelling has real impact on the real world, Sarandos continued. I reiterate that because it's why I work here. It's why we do what we do. That impact can be hugely positive and it can be quite negative. So I would have been better in that communication. Still, the streaming exec reiterated his support for The Closer by claiming that the Chappelle special does not cross the line into hate speech. Sarandos defined hate speech as rhetoric with the intent to cause physical harm. We are trying to support creative freedom and artistic expression among the artists that work at Netflix, Sarandos said, echoing his previous remarks. Sometimes, and we do make sure our employees understand this, because we're trying to entertain the world, and the world is made up of folks with a lot of different sensibilities and beliefs and senses of humor and all those things. Sometimes there will be things on Netflix that you dislike, such as cuties. Now, that's a topic that has come up. Remember that tacky trash movie Cuties that came out last year with them girl dancers like they were grown women that caught a lot of flack? Where was all these groups that's like going at Dave Chappelle and Netflix? Where were they at then when that was going on? That's what I'm trying to figure out. They were non-existent. Most of the people, now that was something to be offended over, not this. But see, it wasn't about them, so they felt like they didn't have a dog in that fight. So of course they weren't going to say anything. While Serrano's confirmed he has spoken with Chappelle since the closer premiere earlier this month, he said they have not discussed the employee uprising prompted by the stand-up routine. I would generally say he was appreciative of supporting the show and his ability to do his act, Serrano said. As for this week's walkout, Serrano's noted that he is aware of the employees' demands, which include creating a separate fund to invest in trans and non-binary talent and attaching a disclaimer to the closer. What do y'all think of that? Attaching a disclaimer to the show. We have a creative equity fund that we've heavily invested in exactly the things I believe they are asking about, Serrano said. It's worth noting that walkout organizers have stipulated the new fund should exist in addition to the existing fund Serrano's is referring to. We have and continue to invest enormous amounts of content dollars in Academy Plus stories for the world and giving them a global platform, Serrano's continues, specifically trans and non-binary content as well. Now look at that, specifically trans and non-binary. That separates them from the group. I wonder what the L, the G, and the B have to say about that. It says, that's obviously continued strong, and I think will continue on that path. Activist Ashley Marie Preston, who will lead the rally portion of today's walkout, called Serrano's most recent statements on the Chappelle controversy a great start, while maintaining that there are some things left to iron out and voices to be heard that were ignored. We appreciate the willingness to have transformative dialogue, Preston wrote on Instagram Tuesday. We still look forward to the rally. You can go through and see all of the transphobia and harm that was spread throughout my comment threads and other trans people pages simply for asking for basic dignity and respect, Preston said. This is part of the repair process. We hope you are prepared to take in what we what we present. The CEO or the co-CEO, because I didn't know he was a co-CEO, but he still has the title. He should not have said anything, because now that's going to open up the floodgates for more. Like I said, the people over at Netflix were weakening them. This part right here really has nothing to do with Dave Chappelle. This has to fall onto this guy right here and him making that statement saying, we screwed up with the handling of it. Then come back and say, we're going to keep it up there. We're not taking it down. Then why even mention it then? Why? So for once, it's not the black person that's buckling, because usually in some cases it is. It's the white guy that is. It's amazing to me how small of a community that is, that they have this much influence and quote unquote pseudo power. Now, who knows what's going to come of this? And you heard what he said. They have now thrown a disclaimer onto the closer. So that means if you go on Netflix and you watch it, it's going to be a disclaimer that's going to pop up there that wasn't there prior to that. That's if you still have Netflix, because I wouldn't be surprised if some people cancel their subscription after hearing about this. I can honestly tell you, I don't have Netflix. If there's something I want to watch on Netflix, I have a workaround. And some of you can understand coded language. I have a workaround to find what I want to watch that comes out on Netflix. I've never had a Netflix subscription, ever. I only have one streaming service subscription, and that I pay for annually, and that's Disney Plus. And I guess you could say Amazon Prime, because they do stream shows on there as well. But other than that, that's all I have. But honestly, like I said, Ted Sarandos, you should have kept that comment to yourself, because now it's going to open up the floodgates. And then what was that comment about them giving funds to them as well? Yeah, this is how it starts. This is how it begins. And now they're going to want more. Now they're going to pressure him even more to take the special off. You were taking power away from it for once in I don't know how long. You were winning. Now you have backpedaled. And now what's going to happen is that could possibly leave Dave Chappelle out to dry. Like you were his last line of defense. Because it starts with this and it's going to escalate into something else. Look at what they did to Nick Cannon last year. He kept apologizing over and over and over again till he buck danced until he tapped all of the tap out of his shoes. Till he couldn't tap no more. His toes was on fire. But this is unfortunate. I did not want to have to add this into the saga, but because this is a saga and it's an important piece of the puzzle, it had to be discussed. Y'all let me know what y'all think.